Hey guys, how's it going? Comparing here. Today I'm going to talk about a pretty interesting deck. Actually, the most interesting deck I have probably ever seen. This is, originally it's called Natural Remedies. User called Chaos Following came up with the deck. I tried it out while I was a little bit on vacation because, well, I was playing Mill Druid. I wasn't having that great of a time, and this seemed like a very unusual one. And, well, it is, and I had a lot of fun, and I really got to understand the deck after playing it, and I thought it's really worth the explanation because, you know, when I play Constructed, when I see people make decks, when I see even, like, you know, the top ranked players of the game make their decks, all that kind of stuff, it's really like the same shit. Like, yeah, control where it works, and you substitute these two cards now that, you know, the expansion is out. And, you know, most decks are pretty much following that kind of trend. There's not really very much innovation. Most decks are very, very simple, and I haven't really seen, like, outrageous win condition decks like these, like the one I'm about to talk about today, since probably Giants Mage, which is 2013, like a year ago. A year ago, there was a deck as innovative as this one. So what makes it so unique? Yes, it is Mill Druid, and yes, Mill Druid has a few weaknesses and all that, but it's so unique because it completely moves aside the normal win conditions of the deck. So even a Mill Druid, this deck doesn't actually aggressively mill. It doesn't aggressively fill your opponent with cards to play cards like Clockwork Giant, or to play around control, and then with mill, because you draw some extra cards, you can run a few big creatures like Malorn, like Dr. Boom. It doesn't do any of that. So why is that? What is the win condition of the deck? The win condition of this deck is you just outlast your opponent with all the healing touches and antique heal bots and trio life, all that kind of shit. You know, you're basically going through 100 HP on this dude. So what you can really do is wait for your opponent to build a board, get rid of it, heal up again, heal up a third time, keep healing up, get rid of the board. When you have a good opportunity to combo Naturalize with Cold Light Oracle, you do so. If you don't, you just save until the end of the game. When your opponent doesn't have many cards or any cards left in the deck, Naturalize is a pretty good card. Often what it does is, you know, 1 mana, destroy a creature and hit him for like 20 damage. So, you know, in some cases, Naturalize is pretty insane. Because most decks out there have some form of card draw, and because in this deck your opponent will always draw more cards than you just because of Naturalize, you're always going to be ahead in the fatigue game when both players reach 0 cards. So that is the win condition of the deck. It's to heal and constantly board clear again and again and again and again until both players just naturally go to 0 cards, and then you win because you have more life left and because you're ahead of the fatigue game by a few points. And this type of deck does extraordinarily well against classes that are considered balanced control decks like Warrior, like Handlock, like many others, because balanced control decks against this type of deck don't work at all, because balanced control decks focus on having big creatures which get destroyed by, you know, unusual cards like Poison Seeds, like Big Game Hunter, like Naturalize. They have forms of draw, which, you know, again, doesn't really work out for them too well, because when they draw, then you mill them immediately. And they focus on removal. So if you think about like a control warrior, you have the shield slams, you have the executes, you have the weapons, you know, you have all this, you have the brawls. These cards are completely useless against this deck, exactly for the point that I mentioned earlier. This deck doesn't have any big creatures whatsoever. So what ends up happening is, because you're not playing anything, because when you actually play something, it's like a 2/4 Grove Tender. When you're playing against like a warrior, his hand is going to be, you know, shield block, shield slam, execute, slam, and brawl. And he's just like loading up on these cards, but he can't play them. So, you know, typically when you mill someone, you're constantly flooding their hand with cards, but because you have nothing to remove, all the removal cards in these matchups are essentially dead cards in their hand, and dead cards in their hand are much stronger than you constantly filling up their hand. So because of that, against control matchups, you're basically going to demolish them. I have never lost against the control warrior. I tied against them when I drew really badly, and that was a pretty cool game. Maybe I'll show you guys that one day, but I'll show you guys a few other games after I finish talking here. And against Handlock, it's almost impossible to lose. A lot of players have seen recognition from this deck because it's been all over Reddit and all that kind of stuff. It was a pretty big thing, and then I played it, and then I won like 12 games in a row over like a 3 or 4 hour period, and I jumped like 4 ranks, and yeah, okay. It's pretty good, and I got pretty lucky. And now people know kind of how to play against it. They don't really play too many creatures all at once, so the control decks do a little bit better, but if you really know what you're doing, you're still going to crush them. And when it comes to Zoo, the reason the deck actually does pretty well is it's very unlikely to lose to huge burst against Zoo. So against like Warlock, you kind of lose a bit. I think my win rate against Warlock is about 70%, and Zoolock is what we're talking about. But because you have so many board clears, you're basically clearing the board, healing up, clearing the board, healing up. Usually they're just going to run out of cards, honestly. And, you can often hold off the pressure, and it works similarly against Hunters. People think it's like a joke, like how do you mill a Hunter? If you mill a Hunter, he's just going to kill you. Well, you don't mill a Hunter because the scope of your deck is not to aggressively mill your opponent. The scope of your deck is to clear the board and stay alive until you both run out of cards. That strategy is just as viable against the fast decks as it is against the slow decks. And yes, sometimes you have to make like a desperate play with like a Naturalize against the High Main or something like that against a Hunter, but usually you can come back from that. Usually the deck does have enough healing. Against Hunter, I think the win rate is about 80%, maybe it's 70, it's around there though, and it usually comes at the price of your opponent rolling double Huffer into double kill command. Just too much burst, too many creatures for you to handle. But if the game plays out in a normal fashion, it's usually a pretty easy matchup as well. The deck does struggle against Mech Mage because if they store up their fireballs and their frostbolts, and you often are in a desperate move to remove one of their mid-game creatures, like if they have a Goblin Blast Mage, sometimes you just have to naturalize that, and that's kind of a problem because they're going to draw more cards, and with the Mech Warper, they're going to play all those cards really quick, and you have to always be above like 13 or sometimes 16 life or 15 life because it's fireball, frostbolt. So those kind of classes that threaten some huge damage the entire game are very, very difficult for this deck. So Mech Mage is a pretty big one, and the reason I haven't had too much luck today when I ranked up with this deck is because I kept queuing up against Mech Mage. It was like I'd win 2 games, then Mech Mage. I'd win 2 games, and Mech Mage. And we're talking about like 15 to 20 minutes on average for a game, so that's a little bit of a downside as well. But in general, it works pretty well. Also, the regular Druid deck with the double Force of Nature, double Savage Roar, that's basically always going to beat this deck because they basically play nothing until they draw Force of Nature, Savage Roar, Innervate, Savage Roar for 22 damage. So because you have to always stay above 22 health, it's basically impossible to win. So it does have some weaknesses, as do all decks, but it is an amazing amount of fun. And the concept of filling your opponent's hand with dead cards because you have no real creatures, the concept of outlasting your opponent in pretty much the purest way possible. You don't really take their cards, you don't do anything, you just kill them. You just kill their cards the whole game, and you have no win condition except the extra fatigue damage at the end is what's going to kill them. It's probably a nightmare to play against this deck, but I can tell you it is a blast to play it, and I had to share it with you guys because I have never seen such an innovative deck in recent history, in the last year or so. So this is it, guys. Try it out if you want. It's a very cheap deck to make. It only takes about 2,000 dust, and it is one of the decks that's so finely tuned. Like, you can't just add a big creature to the deck because suddenly the Shield Slams and the Executes are no longer dead cards, and because everyone's running some kind of removal, those big cards are just going to flush down the toilet, basically. It's very hard to actually improve this deck. Yeah, you can add one thing here, one thing there. Some people say the Ooze isn't very good, but I say the Ooze is pretty good. It is one of the few decks that I actually haven't yet figured out a way to objectively improve. So the author did an amazing job coming up with it. And, well, I think I did a pretty good job playing it. So I really encourage you guys to check out the games because they are some of the most epic games I've ever played and constructed. And, well, Big props to coming up with original decks. This is the good stuff. This is what Hearthstone really should be about. Not about copying some mech mage bullshit and dropping Sylvanas because, you know, you're a special snowflake in that way. Nah. You gotta come up with the cool stuff. This is the cool stuff. I'm really hoping to see more of this kind of deck creation. But, you know, Hearthstone is pretty limited in the same sense. You know, most decks do have to have a very distinct win condition, so creativity is a little bit limited right now. But we'll see. My hopes are high, especially after seeing and playing a deck like this. And anytime I see any amazing, amazing decks, I'll let you guys know about them. Enjoy the games. So that's a pretty good hand, actually. Going second is pretty bad against the Zulok, but the fact that we have the Pyro means that the coin can kind of reverse that a little bit. We can afford to get pecked away 1 damage at a time here, so we can just leave that shit there. I'm thinking of dropping a hero power on that. Oh, come on. I guess maybe it's not Zoo? Who am I kidding? It's Zoo. Okay. Hey guys, what's up? This is Alacrity. I got an Implosion in my hand. I'm going to use Implosion on this 2-4 real quick. Despite my opponent probably having Swipe. Here comes Implosion. It's time to Implosion. No? Damn. Okay. Holy Christ. That really happening. Okay. Wild Pyro. Wrath for 1. 4 cards for 0. It's pretty good value. All thanks to the terrible setup plays by Mr. Alacrity here. So now we're suddenly doing pretty well. How about that? Oh, now he needs more cards because he just lost so many. That's a shame. Okay, so we have an Annoyatron. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have a good play for it, so we're just going to dive right in. Get back to arena. I'm not salty. It's just, I don't know. I don't get how people can play Zoo for this long. 9 cards? What?
Put this apple on your head. The light protects me.
Don't you fucking do it. Okay. Okay. Hand Zoo. Oh. Tap? I'm playing Zoo. I only got 7 cards. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap. Doomguard. Okay. Tap, tap. Is this shit really happening? I mean, seriously. Yo guys, I'm playing Zoom at 8 cards. I'm getting out-tempoed on the board. Let's tap. Like, there's gotta be a card in here that can help me win the game, right? Like, he's 8. They're just not good enough.
Put this apple on your head.
Ah, fuck. It's implosion time. Ooh. Man, it looks pretty balanced. Alright. So we're gonna have to do what? Starfall that? Alright, give me another creature so I can get a better Starfall. You don't need to tap. No tap. Don't you fucking tap. Okay, well, I guess he didn't tap. Alright. There's just no better play. It's not worth it to heal there. It's better to play a creature. Because I don't have that much removal anymore. I'm down 1 swipe, 1 Starfall, 1 Pyromancer. So that's like half my AoE. Oh, what the fuck is that?
Shields up.
Uh-oh. Alright. Okay. And he played 1. Oh, crap. Ah, crap. Oh, what the fuck? That shit is Wind Fury, dude. I'm like dead next turn. Okay. Well, that's bad. Also bad. Why did he play that first? Okay. Well, the chance we draw Naturalize is like really high, so should be okay. Okay. I don't have an answer. Yeah, still got 2 naturalizes in the deck. I can probably heal until I draw them. We'll see. He's down both jugglers, right? Okay. Okay. Oh, crap.
Time waits for no one. I must safeguard the land.
Okay. That was the only way to clear. Oh, you want to draw? Oh, you do? Okay. I can make that happen. Alright.
Nature's wrath.
Let's give him those cards he wants.
Drink with me, friend. I must safeguard the land.
Yeah, 6 cards left now. That's what's up. Give me that star back. Now we win. Game's easy. You get your cards to 0 and you win. You don't worry about the life. You just get the cards to 0 and you win. That's the new game, guys. New game.
Shields off. Red alert.
All the while.
Let the pain speak to me.
Ah, the great outdoors.
For the wild. Tazdingo! Yes! Reporting for duty.
Let me think.
Reporting for duty.
To arms, men!
Like to play with fire?
Time waits for no one. For the wild. Reporting for duty. Justice. For the wild. Follow the rules. Reporting for duty.
Running a program. Back from the junkie.
Reporting for duty.
Running a program. Jumping down.
Reporting for duty.
Shields off. Red alert.
Reporting for duty.
Ah, the great outdoors.
For the wild.
Let me think.
Jumping down.
That belongs in a museum.
Reporting for duty. wild. Reporting for duty. For the wild.
Kill the trail, trail.
My hand is too full. My hand is too full. Well played. I wonder.
Put this apple on your head. Jumping down.
What to do?
Drink with me, friend.
I'm out of cards. Well played.
Yeah, I played this game in a very strange manner. May result in me losing. That is true.
Reporting for duty. I'm almost out of cards. I've got the beast in my safe. I must safeguard the land.
He probably just has another consecrate.
Reporting for duty. To arms, men!
Now I'm waiting until fatigue ramps up a little bit. He only has one heal left. It's another Guardian of Kings. And a lot of Pally decks only run one.
No time for games.
Reporting for duty.
Haven't lost anything.
I must safeguard the land.
Alright, okay. Next turn I have 5, 6, 7.
Follow the rules.
Does he have a heal?
I've got the beast.
Nope. I win. I'm gonna take 2, 3, 4. That's fine.
Feel nature's wrath. For the wild.
Winner.
Well played.
I actually think that was a really tough game to win.